Good evening. At this time, I would like to call our meeting to order. 6 o'clock, September the 13th, 2022. This is our regularly scheduled school board meeting. We have our school board meetings every second Tuesday of every month. And so certainly I just want to thank all of you for coming out this evening. At this time, Mr. Cullum, we have an impact student recognition.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you, and members of the board. Tonight I have asked Mr. Heather Kendrick to assist us in honoring the impact student and also some other Wampus Cat Pride Awards. Ms. Heather Kendrick.
Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce you all to the first impact student of this school year from Simon Middle School, Mr. Chandray Gaines Tucker.
Hello, my name is Chandray Gaines Tucker. I'm a 7th grader here at Simon Middle School.
And when he came in, he was very shy, but as time went on, he started coming out, but he still kept that reserved in himself. He didn't really speak out in classroom, but he started working in table pot and he started coming out.
Here we go. 2, 3, and 4, and...
I have loved him from the first day I met him to this very moment now. His sense of humor is what really grabs me because he's not realizing how funny he is, even though he's that funny. When he is in the classroom, his presence is known, though he's very silent. And when he does present information, he's usually confident, but it's not always exuding. So he is a lovely, lovely student to have in the class.
Chandray, congratulations on being September's impact student. And now if everyone will stand, he will help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent job. I'm going to take a picture of you guys. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you so much. Also in our Wampus Cat Pride segment tonight, we are going to recognize Conway High School's Britt Cullum. Mr. Cullum, spoiler alert, he's going to be honored in just a minute as Conway High School's Teacher of the Year, but in addition to this distinction, Mr. Cullum has been named the History Teacher of the Year for the state of Arkansas by the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. This award honors one K-12 teacher each year. So Mr. Cullum teaches African American history, world history, and AP comparative government at Conway High School. Please join me in a round of applause for the Gilder Lehrman Arkansas History Teacher of the Year, Mr. Britt Cullum. Got it. Congratulations. Next, we are going to honor our 2022-23 Teachers of the Year from each school. Teachers, when I call your name, please stand with your principal for a round of applause. First up from Sally Cone Preschool, Miss Deanne Fimple. From Ida Burns Elementary, Angela Blue. From Woodrow Cummins Elementary, Michelle Kingsbury. From Theodore Jones Elementary, Miss Ashley Dean. From Carolyn Lewis Elementary, Ashley Silliman. From Preston Florence Madison Elementary, Miss Melinda Fraser. From Julia Lee Moore Elementary, Miss Portia Albert. From Ellen Smith Elementary, Miss Leah Pierce. Miss Pierce is not here tonight, but we'll still give her a round of applause. From Gemstone Elementary, Miss Haley Ward. From Marguerite Van Elementary, Morgan Williams. From Courtway Middle School, Miss Deanna Robbins. From Ruth Doyle Middle School, Michelle Dunlap. From Simon Middle School, Miss Haley Carr. And of course, Miss Carr is our District Teacher of the Year as well. From Carl Stewart Middle School, Miss Brenda Smith. From Conway Junior High School, Mr. Chad Longing. And last but definitely not least, from Conway High School, Mr. Britt Cullum. Congratulations, teachers. You represent us so well, and we appreciate you and your principals being here tonight. And that will conclude our Wampus Cat Pride segment.
Thank you, Ms. Kendrick. Let's give all of our teachers another final round of applause. Thank you, teachers, for all the work that you do. Board, we're going to take just a brief recess. If any of the teachers or principals would like to leave at this time, you're welcome to. You may have other activities that you want to attend to for your students. If not, you're more than welcome to stay. So we'll take about a 60-second brief pause, and then we'll continue on with our meeting. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. Certainly, I just want to piggyback off of what you said, Mr. Cullen. We want to thank all of our teachers. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Just want to. When I get too close,
We've got some loud feedback, Chris, if you can help us with that.
Certainly want to thank all of our teachers of the year. At this time, board, our agenda calls for an approval of the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions about our consent agenda? No one has any questions. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. At this time, we are at a point in our agenda where we have patron comments. And so before we ask our patrons to come forward, I just want to mention just a few things that we always want the public to know, that this board is always willing to listen. We're always willing to listen when certain issues and certain concerns and certain issues and certain concerns come up. And so we want you to know tonight that that's what this part of our agenda is allowing us to do, is to be able to listen to our community. Now, with that being said, we have some speakers tonight who have been designated. They have gone through the process of getting with Mr. Cullum or myself with this board, and they have submitted the proper procedures to be able to come before the board tonight to address the board. And so at the end of all of the comments, at the end of all the speakers, each speaker has 5 minutes. And I guess, Mr. Cullum, will you be the... We've got a timekeeper? Okay. So You know, we've got a timekeeper, okay? 5 minutes. This is not a church service, okay? We can't hear everybody's testimony. But we do want to listen, and we do want to hear our public tonight. So we want to be respectful. We want to be respectful for those who are coming up and presenting to the board. I think I can speak on behalf of the board that we're all going to be respectful. We're going to be courteous. And at the end of the comments, the board may have questions that they may want to ask some of the speakers. And so we're going to wait till each speaker comes forward, and then after everyone speaks, we're going to, the board may have questions. Now, I want to make it clear that in a meeting like this, there's no back and forth. We want to protect the integrity of this meeting. We want to have a good meeting. And so with that being said, we want to ask that the public, that you would please hold your comments to the end, and we'll just have a good meeting. So at this time, we're going to ask, who is our first? Okay, Miss Stephanie David, would you please come forward?
Mr. Cullum and board members, before I start, I'd like for each of you to have some handouts that go with my presentation. Parents and the adults in the audience, if you would like a copy of what the board will be viewing, please raise your hand and someone will bring you a copy. And I'd also like to say, parents, before I get started, I want to say that I'll be sharing some sexually explicit material that is not appropriate for minor children to see or hear. Please use your discretion.
Ms. David, would that be what we have here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, board. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you tonight. My name is Stephanie David, and I'm speaking on behalf of a group of concerned parents and members of the Conway community. I'm here tonight to share some factual information about sexually explicit books in libraries and classrooms. Over the last several months, there have been numerous sexually explicit books found in the libraries all over Arkansas, and these books are readily available to students K-12. While there are currently Arkansas laws to protect minors from pornography and sexually explicit material in regards to electronic devices, sadly there are no such laws that apply to minors and books in schools. Conway Public Schools needs policies that will protect our district teachers and students. I'm going to share some of these books with you now that have been found in libraries in our state, and I want to make it a point that this speech is not meant to target members of the LGBTQ+ community. This is not an issue regarding sexual orientation or gender identity. This is an issue that has to do with the safety of minors who are not legally of age to consent to sexual activity. Therefore, regardless of the sexual orientation presented in these books, they are inappropriate for minors to access in schools. The books I'm highlighting are currently some of the most controversial books in our country. The first book is called Gender Queer. I have included pictures from the book in your handout. Let me also state that while this book portrays two homosexual males, that is not the concern. This book would still be pornographic if it included a male and a female couple. As you can see from the pictures written in comic book form, this book includes detailed information about masturbation and graphic pictures of male genitalia and two males engaging in oral sex and sexual intercourse. Again, sending similar pictures electronically to a minor is considered illegal. The second book is titled Wait, What? A Comic Book Guide to Relationships, Bodies, and Growing Up. This book is intended for children 9 years and older. It includes graphic comic form pictures of genitalia, and one page encourages children to draw pictures of genitals. This book also includes a graph titled How Do You Know When You're Ready for Sex Stuff? Percentages of young people who have had sexual intercourse by age, starting with age 10. The third book has in fact been found in a library in the Conway Public Schools. It is titled Beyond Magenta, Transgender Teens Speak Out. I'm going to read a small portion to you now. I was sexually mature What I mean by sexually mature is that I knew about sex from 6 up. I used to kiss other guys in my neighborhood, make out with them, and perform oral sex on them. I liked it. I used to love oral, and I touched their you-know-whats. We were really young, but that's what we did. Guys used to hit on me, perverts, pedophiles. I'd see guys giving me a look, and it kind of creeped me out. They would touch themselves, saying, "Come here, sweetie." The last book I'm going to share with you is extremely graphic, and I apologize. I do not enjoy reading this aloud, but I feel it's necessary for everyone to fully understand the level of inappropriateness this book contains. Students as young as 7th grade have been assigned to read this book in public schools. Again, this book has been found in libraries in Arkansas. This book is called All Boys Aren't Blue, a memoir manifesto by George Johnson. And I quote, "You told me to take off my pajama pants, which I did. You took off your shorts, followed by your boxers. There you stood in front of me, fully erect, and said, 'Taste it.' At first I laughed and refused, and then you said, 'Come on, Matt, taste it. This is what boys like us do when we like each other.' I finally listened to you. You eventually got up off me and told me to come to the bathroom, that you wanted to show me one more thing. You turned on the light and closed the door. You began stroking yourself in front of me." I'm going to spare everyone else the rest of it, but it goes on to describe a graphic rape scene where one boy rapes the other. Again, this book has no place in our schools and or is being available to minors. Across the country, concerned parents have discovered over 800 books in local school libraries that are extremely disturbing when placed in the hands of minors. Please let me say that I'm in no way advocating for banning of books, especially classics like To Kill a Mockingbird. However, I am for policies that will protect our district teachers and students from pornographic and obscene reading material. Are these books currently in Conway Public Schools? One of them certainly is. Again, all of these, many others have been located in libraries in Arkansas, and Conway is certainly never immune. We need to take a proactive approach to protect our district teachers and students from these books ever being included in our school libraries and classrooms. Everyone involved deserves to be protected from sexually explicit books. In closing, I'd like to thank the board for allowing time for me to speak. I'd also like to thank the board for the 2 policies being presented tonight. Please know that the majority of the Conway community, as well as I, made our voices heard at the last school board elections. Support your forward thinking to make policies that will allow accommodation options for all students so they can all feel respected and safe. Thank you.
All right, at this time, thank you, Ms. David. At this time, we'll have Ms. Jenny Wallace.
Are you ready? Should I go ahead and go? Okay.
Can you speak up a little?
Hi, my name is Jenny Wallace, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. A little bit about myself. I am a wife and a mother of 4. I am a Christian, and I have been a part of this community for several years. I'm a teacher. I have taught for over 20 years. The first part of my job was in the public school, and the second half of my career has been at home, homeschooling, in homeschooling communities, homeschooling co-ops, homeschooling my kids. I love to teach and I love to learn. My oldest graduated from Conway High last year. He's a freshman this year at Hendricks, and my second born is a senior attending Conway High and ASUBB. I am here to address the concerns over the new bathroom and overnight policies. I would like to ask us all a question. What type of culture do these policies promote in Conway Public Schools? Why are these policies suggested now? Why now? Conway Public Schools have been around for decades and decades and decades. Why now? Have there been formal complaints brought to the board? Is that what has caused this? If not, it is clear you are pushing an agenda in the current culture war while bullying Conway Public School students. These policies are in direct violation of the students' civil liberties under the 14th Amendment. How would that reflect on Conway Public Schools? Have you considered what these policies will do to our community? This will have a negative impact on our city because businesses will choose to take their business elsewhere, which will in turn impact our property taxes, and we know that will impact our schools. Allen D. Nees High School in Florida attempted a similar policy. Drew Adams was a transgender student. He filed a lawsuit and he won. The judge ruled that the school board's bathroom policy singled him out different and gave him different treatment for being transgender. The judge also ruled that public schools may not punish its students for gender nonconformity. Neither may a public school harm transgender students by establishing arbitrary, separate rules for their restroom use. The judge said that the school board did not uphold his 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal rights, and Title IX, which bans sex discrimination in education. There are several other school districts who've attempted the same thing. And they've lost. Do we want Conway Public Schools to be next? A similar case in Virginia cost a school board $1.3 million. Where will that money come from? Will it come from our district? Will it come from our tax dollars? Will it come from the school board members who are voting for discriminatory processes? Are they going to foot the bill? Again, I ask, what type of culture are these policies promoting while they're targeting our students? I can promise you this, the people who are being targeted do not feel loved, they do not feel welcomed, they do not feel valued. Allow me to share some statistics about the harm done by these policies. Among the transgender non-binary youth who experience bathroom discrimination, 85% reported being depressed, 60 reported considering suicide, 1 in 5 have already tried to kill themselves multiple times. However, I think many appreciate the policies allowing restrooms of choice, but policing which restrooms these students use is dehumanizing. Trying to erase their representation from books is also dehumanizing. What will happen to these children when they do not conform to these discriminatory policies? The only thing these policies do is put an already vulnerable group in more danger. But on the flip side, numerous studies show that welcoming, safer school environments actually increase achievement, academic achievement. It lowers rates of depression, it lowers suicidal thoughts. And I know that's important to this board and this school because September 22nd at 6 o'clock in this very auditorium, we're bringing a speaker to talk about suicide awareness. What if we ask this speaker what she thinks about these policies? I want to end and let you know that I felt I needed to speak tonight, not because I have a child who's transgender or non-binary, but because I'm a Christian. And unfortunately, today and throughout history, Christians are the ones putting forth these discriminatory policies. I want to end with, CPS website says, this is what we promote. Every child, every day, whatever it takes. Thank you for your time.
Okay, at this time, we're going to ask, thank you, Ms. Wallace. At this time, we're going to ask Ms. Stephanie Gray.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Gray. I use they, them pronouns and have been a resident of Conway for 12 years. I'm also a program director at an organization called Sacred Spaces, as well as a doctoral student. I have over a decade of working with queer and trans youth, and I am also proudly and extraordinarily transgender myself. In my career, I support organizations and schools to formulate and uphold policies that create safer, more respectful, and more equitable spaces for people of all ages and all stages, and I particularly work in child safety and safeguarding practices. One of the most important aspects of my job is to help organizations not only create policies, but to help live out these policies in real time and how to center their values in the face of conflict or adversity. I want to look at 3 core values of the Conway School District: Conway schools will strive to create an environment where everyone matters. 2, our schools will be a place where students feel safe and loved and have their basic needs met, because only then can real learning take place. And 3, Conway schools, students will always be the first priority. My question is, are these policies student first? Are these making students feel loved and feel safe? Is this creating a culture of diversity where opportunities for growth are possible? I do not think so. And I also want to point out that it's incredibly important to think when implementing any policy, is there actually just cause to actually implement it? Has there been any investigations been done in this district to prove that there is evidence of danger, harassment, or misconduct by trans students? This is not even an issue. These proposals seek only to undermine the work of this district, the administration, and more importantly, these brilliant educators who work with our students every day and are able to support them in affirming ways that they may not be able to receive at home. On a personal note, throughout my entire high school experience in Arkansas, I was verbally and physically harassed for being queer. I was scared all of the time in public school. It was difficult to focus on my studies and often wanted to avoid school as much as possible. I even tried to end my own life. No student should have to go what I went through. The weight of being different is so heavy. We do not need to add to this burden to our students. And before I close, I do want to speak directly to any trans students that are in the audience. You are not wrong or confused or broken or burdensome. The world needs you desperately, and you deserve the world. Your trans siblings, we see you, we believe in you, and we will fight for you. And as my Jewish ancestors have told me, we will outlive them. And as my trans siblings say, we will outlove them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gray. Mr. Lawrence Finley. Lawrence Finley.
Hi, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's actually Finley Lawrence, not Lawrence Finley, but close enough. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. I've been an Arkansan for almost 10 years now, and I'm a current Conway resident.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
That's a little better.
Okay, let me try that one more time.
Yeah,
Hi.
You might wanna. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to me and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm Finley Lawrence, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs. I've been in Arkansan for almost 10 years, and I'm a current Conway resident attending Hendrix College. I'm transgender non-binary and taking a class on human rights and gender currently in college, so today's school board agenda is very near and dear to my heart. Proposed policies 4.2 and 4.56.2 are what is known as indirect discrimination. This means that while these policies appear to be neutral, as if they are not discriminatory, they do in fact favor one group and disadvantage another. Transgender students are disadvantaged by these policies, which favor cisgender students. Bathrooms are a commonly gendered space in America. The very signs on the outside of a bathroom, a vague portrayal of a person wearing pants or a person wearing a dress, are based on societal perceptions attributing dress wearing to women and pants wearing to men. Your very own bathrooms say ladies on the outside of one. I assume the other one was gentlemen, but didn't have the time to check. Policy 4.2, while not mentioning transgender students, will disadvantage these students by not allowing them to use the bathroom with other students of their gender. It will make transgender students stick out, which will make it obvious to the students around them who is transgender and will make it obvious to them that they do not fit in. Gender dysphoria, a mental illness defined by the American Psychiatric Association as a marked incongruence between one's experienced/expressed gender and their assigned gender based on their sex assigned at birth, commonly affects transgender people. In layman's terms, gender dysphoria refers to the distress transgender and queer people experience because who they are is different from how society sees them and how their body looks and behaves. Singling out transgender students by obviously placing them in environments where they will stick out compared to cisgender students, such as bathrooms and shared rooms on school trips, will drastically increase gender dysphoria for your transgender students. This increases psychological distress, which leads to increased rates of other mental health disorders and suicide, as has been talked about before me. In your own student handbook, you say that you value and respect diversity in everything we do. Our Conway School should be vigilant in protecting the students in our care. But these policies do not value and respect your students and will place them in danger. According to the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey, 82% of transgender adults have seriously considered suicide and 40% have attempted it. In contrast, only 4.6% of the general American population have ever attempted suicide. Transgender adults are nearly 10 times more likely to attempt suicide, and we all know that the numbers are higher for children. These policies will discriminate against transgender students. Do you want to increase these numbers? Is this protecting your students? I ask you now, will you choose to protect your students? So many of us are sitting before you today explaining to you with facts, logic, and personal experiences that transgender students are being threatened by these policies. We're asking you to hear us, and if you don't, it will be obvious that protecting students is not your priority. I am imploring you to lead by example. If you want a respecting and safe environment for your students, choose right now to make it.
All right, thank you. Next on the, our next person is Clayton Crockett.
Hi. Thank you so much for letting me speak, and I want to add my voice to those that you've already heard who are speaking out against these proposed policies. I'm a professor at the University of Central Arkansas, and I've been there for 20 years, and I have taught and worked with numerous trans students. I'm also the parent of a trans child who attends Conway High School presently. And I deeply appreciate and I'm so grateful for all the support, all the accommodations, all the understanding, all the compassion, and all the care that everyone has shown, administrators, faculty, and other students, to my child. My child feels targeted and threatened by these bills. My child does not support these. My child feels singled out. And I've had to learn a lot when my child came out as trans. And I've had to read a lot, even though I'd already known a lot. And one of the books that helped me was a book called Becoming Nicole by a woman named Amy Alice Nutt, who was the mother of a young trans woman who became an actress and an activist, Nicole Maines. And I strongly recommend that because it's really about knowing people and connecting people and seeing them as human beings that helps people get through some of these stereotypes. I think, and my child thinks and knows, that these policies single out and unduly prejudice Conway Public Schools and parents and students against trans people who are being targeted, marginalized, and dehumanized by this state. They place undue harms, costs, and risks on trans students and their families, who, as we've already heard, face severe challenges, face vulnerability to violence, mental illness, and poverty that are directly tied to their gender identity. The current scientific research does not support these practices or these policies. Gender is not simply chosen, it is actually formed in the brain, in the womb, prior to the development of external genital sex characteristics. As much as we want it to be otherwise, or might want it to be otherwise, nature is not binary in sex or gender or orientation. Conway Public Schools needs to emphasize teaching students, but that also involves viewing all of them as human beings with intrinsic dignity, not as stigmatized by fear, out of fear, or because of political ideology or ignorance. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Crockett. At this time, Linda Tyler.
Superintendent Cullum, the Honorable Board, thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you this evening. My husband Hugh and I have been a member of this community for over 50 years and worked for some of the best businesses in Conway and in Arkansas, and I have also served as your state representative in the legislature. My husband Hugh and I raised our 2 children here, and they are proud graduates of the Conway Public Schools. I had the opportunity in the town hall several months ago to speak with you as well. And I believe, and I told you then and I still do, that I believe that it is our school and our community's role, along with our parents, to prepare our children to be successful in a diverse world. Whether that is what books they read or how they engage with each other in the classroom, in the hallways, in the football fields, and yes, even the bathroom. It is part of and important to their preparation for success. To be able to work with, to learn with, and build a community with people who do not look like them, who may not always think like them, and come from diverse backgrounds or cultures, prepares our children for the real world of today and tomorrow. Businesses and companies today believe, and my company believes, that building a company of diverse employees, treating them equitably, and ensuring that they are included and have a seat at the table is critical to companies' success in the global economy. As a community, there is almost nothing we could do that would be more anti-business than these policies. Conway has so much going for it: great public schools, great higher ed, a great business base, great neighborhoods, and affordable living. But there is nothing the school board could do that would put more of an anti-business bullseye on Conway than these policies. In recent months, just in the state of Texas alone, over 70 large and small companies sent letters to the policymakers in Texas with the following message: the undersigned companies are proud Texas employers and investors, supporters of Texas's unique, diverse culture. They go on to say that we have long strived to make our workplaces safe and welcoming for everyone we employ. But the fullness of our team members' lives and the lives of their families and children stretch well beyond the workplace. They live in their communities where they rent or own homes, shop, go out to eat, and participate in their community and school activities. They deserve to feel safe, welcome, and treated with dignity in all those settings. That was over 70 companies that wrote those letters. There is no doubt in my mind that Arkansas companies will feel the same. Let's make a decision today to embrace the responsibility to prepare our children for the workforce of the future and not make a decision that will signal to our employers, both current and future, that we don't welcome diversity in our schools. Let's don't put our children in danger and in effect tell them that we don't care. Let's, for the children's sake and our community's sake, make the right decision. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Tyler. This time, Vicki Crockett.
My name is Vicki Crockett, and I'm the mother of Lily, who is currently a senior. I've been here at board meetings before, when Lily was in 4th grade, and she was recognized for winning the Stock Market Award. When she was in 7th grade, and she scored 35 on the ACT. We'll probably be back next month for her to be recognized as one of 5 seniors who are National Merit semifinalists. But I'm here tonight because she's also transgender. She has been very supported by the principal and her teachers since she came out 2.5 years ago. She stayed with 2 girls on last year's orchestra trip, and they had a blast, even buying matching sweatshirts to remember their time together. But when they returned home, things changed. She had to report everything she'd done during the trip, and she was afraid she was in trouble. These kind of rules make no sense in the lives of actual children. I could go on and on about my experiences with Conway High, but I'm going to turn it over to my attorney, Fritzy Bauman.
Hello. I'm Fritzy Bauman. I'm here.
Excuse me, madam. Now, Ms. Crockett. Okay, now, madam, who are you?
I'm Fritzy Bauman. I'm her attorney. She's yielded her remaining time to me.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm
ma'am,
here.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, but that's not allowed tonight.
Okay. Well, may I leave this U.S. Supreme Court case that has decided this issue with this police officer to give to you? I think I'm here for your benefit.
Yeah. But let me just say this. We've been doing pretty good. We've got one more presenter, but I want to make it clear that we want to be respectful. So we want to ask you that you would please keep all of the chanting and all of that. Keep that. Just don't do that. And so let's be respectful. We have one more presenter. Miss Linda Whitworth. Now, Miss Linda, as you come forward, after Miss Linda finishes, we're going to give the board an opportunity to ask questions or make a statement. We're going to give you that opportunity. Now, there has to be some decent and in order. Everything has to be done decently and in order. So the board will make comments. They may have some comments, but there's no dialogue between the audience and the board. Okay, I want to make that clear. Now, if you don't want to follow that, here's what's going to happen. If you don't want to follow that, I want to be clear. If you don't want to follow that, we've got law enforcement here. Okay? We don't want to have to escort anybody out of here, but we want to keep order, we want to be respectful, and we want to have a good meeting. So with that being in, with that in mind, Ms. Linda, thank you.
Thank you, President Ackland, Superintendent Collin, members of the board. My name is Linda Whitworth Reed. I am a retired Presbyterian pastor. Reverend is my title. I am currently serving as parish associate next door at First Presbyterian Church of Conway. I'm speaking on behalf of a group of students, parents, and teachers who wish to remain anonymous. I am speaking because I believe in the dignity of all people, especially children and youth, who have my heart. I am speaking because I am a pastor for people in my congregation and for people in the larger community. And a pastor cares for and works on behalf of people who cannot always advocate for themselves. Before I went to seminary at Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary and received a Master's of Divinity for my ordination, I was a teacher in public schools with a Master of Arts in Education. I noticed as I looked through the student handbook that the very first thing presented is a non-discrimination policy on page 7. It is the policy of this educational institution to provide equal opportunity without regard to race, color, national origin, sex, religion, sexual orientation, age, or qualified disability in its educational programs and activities. And then there are policies later from the school board 418 that prohibits certain student conduct, pages 39 and 40 of the handbook, including disruptive behavior that interferes with orderly school operations, willfully and intentionally assaulting or threatening or physical assault, or physically abusing any student or school employees, etc. The policies that I have read that are here printed up for consideration this evening actually break with the non-discrimination policies of the school district. And by singling out students, it invites harassing, bullying, recriminating behavior. The teachers and parents with whom I have spoken want to protect the diversity of the students in Conway schools, including racial, religious, and gender diversity. It is my understanding that during COVID, the school board decided not to micromanage schools and allow them to do the thing which, in their experience, served students best. Therefore, the proposal of these policies is an overreach on the part of the board and puts the school district in the dangerous position of perhaps even having to go to court to defend these policies. And in other states, similar policies have been overturned, costing school districts millions of dollars. It is the goal of the good teachers I know here in Conway to create an environment where students feel safe and welcome, and that means first creating a foundation that provides for the physiological and safety needs of students, safe classrooms, safe halls, personal security, that all that leads to a sense of love and belonging so that students can learn. The parents I know are concerned, and even loving, accepting families who have non-binary children because they have learned of their own students' children's depression and suicidal plans. Their plans. Students are concerned because they want to be left alone instead of being singled out. They want a good education. They want to enjoy their education. And teachers are concerned because whatever policies you as a board pass, they are the ones who have to look students in the eye and enforce those policies, whether they believe that those policies are for the good of students or not. I urge you to reject the proposed policies and let the schools continue to do the good work that they are doing. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitworth, and thank all of our patrons who presented tonight. At this time, I want to give the board an opportunity to have comments. I want to give you that opportunity. Ms. Linda?
Sure.
Want to start?
Having been in this district for 33 years, it is a real honor and privilege for me to serve on this school board. I'm really humbled by the experience, to be honest with you. I've listened very intently to every speaker here. I started with the intent of taking notes, but I was trying to hear, so that just didn't work out. But I am going back, because this is being recorded. I'm going back and listening to all those speeches again, and I will take notes. And I, as the rest of these board members, I'm sure, intend to reflect on those notes and what you've had to say tonight in making this decision. We've all been very respectful listening to you and absorbing what you've said, and I would ask the same thing in return, that you hear what we have to say and process it. That's really my intent from this meeting forward, is that this is such a passionate subject on both sides that we can move in a positive direction here. And for me, a positive direction is one in which we can all listen to each other, have a conversation with each other, and respect each other's perspectives. Because they're all different, but they're all important to us. And we have to respect other people's perspectives and beliefs. You know, it's just kind of been bickering and fussing, but that's all over the United States over some of the situations now. And you know, I think about our children, and they see this, and they hear us fussing and bickering over this. And I don't think that's a good thing. Our children should be watching us come together and talk and respect and come to a consensus or a compromise. We've got 10,000 students in this district, which means 10 to 20,000 parents. In a not so perfect world, it's going to be very hard to come up with a policy that is perfect for everybody. That's going to be really, really difficult to do. So what I would like to see come out of this is to come up with a policy that absolutely targets every single student in this district. Every one of them. We are committed as a board to make a decision based on what we feel like is in the best interest of every student in this district. We are sympathetic to the challenges that students who are a different gender than their birth gender, to the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. We are absolutely sympathetic to that. We are committed to provide them with safe spaces. Absolutely. Here's one concern that I have, and that's that it seems that, all of our conversations revolve around this one group of students. And we're not thinking about all the other students in this school. And it's the job of this board to protect every one of them, every single one of them. So I want to give you a scenario. It's a simple one. And I hope that you can kind of understand what the process was and the procedures here for this policy. I want you to think about a young man who identifies as a female, and he does not want to go into the boys' restroom. He wants to use the girls' restroom. Now, he is gender identity. There has not been any transition. It's the identity that's gender. Now, do we allow him to go in the girls' restroom? Well, from my perspective, if we're looking at all the students in this district, what about all those girls in that restroom that he's in? Do they have the right to feel comfortable? Do they have the right to feel safe? We can't look at one child. We've got to look at, if I hit that one more time, we have to listen to our, take care of all of them. This district has followed these procedures that are outlined in this policy for, my understanding, 4 to 5 years. And they've worked. Apparently not any complaints. We've moved along, and they've worked. And we talked about it, made the decision that instead of addressing this at the beginning of every year and talking about it and getting the word out to how we need to handle it, let's make a policy that was based on practices and procedures that have been successful. And that's what we tried to do here. I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart to please leave here tonight and think about the whole picture. Think about all the kids in this district and how we can accommodate all of them. And we felt like giving these transgender students an option, not making them go into the bathroom of their birth identity, gender identity, but to give them an option to use another facility, which then protects the girls in this restroom or the boys in this restroom. We tried hard to come to a middle ground here. And I just challenge you and I beg you to just go home and think about some of these things. I appreciate your listening.
Dr. Naylor?
Yes, all you guys know, we had a contentious election in May. It was by far the most votes ever in a school board election. So as you guys know, we represent the public. It's what we do. It's not about me. I represent Zone 2. So the public spoke and elected some of us, and we take that very seriously. When I look at what Ms. Hargis said, I really don't have anything to add to that. But when we talk about the books, now these books right here are not acceptable, period. Not acceptable. And this has nothing to do with homosexual, heterosexual, whatever that is. If this is a heterosexual book, it's not acceptable. If it's a homosexual book, with this stuff, it's not acceptable. Not here. So I didn't see anybody get up and speak supporting the books. Now, we've gotten the Freedom of Information Act from an activist in Little Rock. I didn't see them here, and I don't know what their relationship to the school district is. But as far as the books, these books, again, are not acceptable. My last thing, I do want to thank all the people that spoke, because I've spoke just like you did, and it is stressful to get up in front of the whole room and speak. And so every one of you, we all have different perspectives. That's what makes this country wonderful, is we all get an opinion, and we all have different perspectives. But I want to thank each speaker here for coming up tonight and speaking to the board.
All right. Are there any other comments? Okay. Certainly, I just want to say again, yes, thank you. Thank you for coming. That's what this is for. We wanted to be able to listen tonight to your different point of views. And so that's what this is tonight. We wanted to hear you. We want to listen to you and let you know that we do hear you and we appreciate you. And I usually have a little something to say, but Miss Linda, I'm proud of you. What she said was, we have to look at all the kids, all the students. And that's what we're trying to do here. Moving right along, we have our superintendent's report, Mr. Cullum.
Thank you, Board. I have a brief report tonight on student enrollment. We are entering, just about to complete the 4th week of school. And if you can see that, it's also on your computer there in front of you. We are over the 10,000 mark for student enrollment, and that's big news. That's worth a round of applause if you want to clap. But to put that in perspective, it's the 3rd time in the district's history that we've topped the 10,000 mark. So right now, we're sitting at 10,008 students. We're going to monitor that as we approach the October 1 enrollment date, but that is good news. Our buses are full. Mr. Lawrence is always advertising for more bus drivers. So if you want to drive a bus here tonight, come see Mr. Lawrence when we're finished. And that concludes our board report tonight, student enrollment. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cullum. Let's see. Next on our agenda, we have our Chief Financial Officer's report, Ms. Robin Keene.
Good evening, board members. Glad to be here this evening to present our financial report as of August 31st, 2022. As you can see on our first presentation slide, we have all of our building funds listed. Our first chart lists all of our transactions for our fund balances for the month of August. And the second chart list our fund balances for the year to date through the end of August. And one thing I do want to point out here is on our building fund, which is Fund 3, We have a beginning balance of $12,596,000, and that is after the transfer that we made at the end of the 21-22 school year. So I just wanted to make mention of that. So with the total of all of our funds, we have over a $22 million balance at the end of August. Now moving to our salary, operating, and debt service funds, our revenue report. Again, this is as of August 31st, 2022. 17% of our fiscal year has elapsed. I have included the budgeted amounts, which we will be approving tonight. But for our revenue to date, for our property taxes, we've collected $2.1 million. Our state revenue, $6.8 million. Other local revenue, $173, for a total of over $9 million in our total operating revenue. The total of those is a little over 9% of our budgeted revenue. At the same time last year, we were at 9.26%, so we're trending about the same as we were last year. For our expenditure report, as you can see, we have this broken down in 3 different areas with salaries and benefits. That's our largest expenditures we have. Supplies, services, and others, and debt service. And at this point, we have spent to date and also have outstanding encumbrances of a total of over $16 million. And at this point, we're at 14% of our budgeted expenditures. At the same time last year, we were about 16.7%, so we're trending the same as last year. And then on our last report, this is a multi-year comparison report. Again, this is our salary, debt service, and operating funds. And a lot of these numbers still reflect what we just saw before. This year, for our total revenue, we've received 9.11% of our budgeted revenue. Last year, again, we were trending about the same. And then we've also have expended 16.14% of our expenditure budget. That does also include encumbrances. We actually have not paid that out, but we have obligated those funds. And again, we are trending about the same as we were last year. Any questions on the financials as presented? Thank you.
Test.
All right, at this time, thank you, Ms. King. At this time, we're going to ask Attorneys Beckett, Billingsley, and Keys, Mr. Jay Beckett. Thank you, Mr. Beckett, for coming.
Good evening, Mr. President.
All right.
So we're introducing 2 policies for a 30-day read. Proposed policy 4.20, use of bathrooms affected by gender, and board policy, or proposed policy 4.56.2, assignment of roommates while traveling overnight by trips. You have those proposed policies in your packets, and I stand available to answer any questions you all may have about those policies that are in addition or in follow-up to the discussions we've had at board workshops in the past few weeks.
Board, does anyone have any questions? Mr. Beckett, are you seeing many policies like this drafted across the country, or but just talk to that?
You know, just anecdotally, Mr. President, yes, we are seeing both board policies that look like these policies. In addition to that, we're also seeing state legislatures pass laws that are similar in form to these policies. So the answer is yes. I don't know of any data to show how prominent these policies are across the country, but certainly from an anecdotal standpoint, yes, they're being passed both by boards and by state legislatures.
No one has any questions.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Beckett.
good. All right.
Thank you so much. We've been working very closely with Mr. Beckett on these two policies. So basically, those are there for a 30-day read. We've got time to keep, talking and dialoguing and all of that. So this time, we're going to ask Mr. Jason Black.
Yes, good evening, Board. Real quick, we've got 4.4 student transfers. We're bringing this policy to you. Hopefully you've had a time to take a look at it. It's pretty straightforward. We're asking that you take a look at this, and we're wanting to move it from every month that we review student transfer requests out of the district to once every quarter, so after each grading period. Any questions?
Why are we looking at these student transfers? Can you just kind of give everybody what we're trying to do here?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this in a workshop. We went through the efficiency, the ease of doing it during a grading period. It's a natural transition for kids. It makes more sense for our teachers, for our staff, for the board, for our administrators when we're looking at it from that vantage point to do it once a quarter, bring those to you. I think if we did it this way, we'd be looking at October, January, and April is when we'd bring those before you. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Any questions? Other questions?
I guess no one has questions.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you. Dr. Keisha Jefferson.
Hey, good evening, Board. I won't be before you long. I've got good numbers for us. We did a lot of hiring here in the district with retirements, resignations, and just new bodies. And so we brought in a total of 224 jobs is what we had total posted, which is, I know, but it's amazing. And so many of those were one-to-ones. One-to-one, one resignation or one retirement and one hiring. I'm really about to impress you now. 25 positions as of yesterday, 20 classified, 5 licensed, still open. We do have certified subs and most of those certified positions we do. And as of today, we are down to 3. We have 2 interviews tomorrow, but my data I collected was as of yesterday. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Board.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jason Lawrence, Coach Clint Ashcraft.
Good evening. I've been asked to give you a final update on the scoreboard project. It's been a huge deal. We've been working on this for about 4 years between baseball, softball, and then getting over to the stadium and to the arena. We want to make sure that we are fully transparent on the cost. And as we stated in the beginning, the project will ultimately be financed through our community partners who are advertising with us. It's a much-needed project, and I believe we're already reaping benefits, both financially and, more importantly, giving those students a great opportunity to be involved and learn skills that they could even take into a job and other opportunities. So we've had a lot of conversations, a lot of people involved. I've had some frustrations, with the install and all that, trying to make sure that they're meeting their timelines, but the boards are up and running, and I think we can all be proud of it. I know that the partners who have joined with us to help finance this, I've talked to a few of them, and I think that they're happy with the final results also. So to make sure that we are transparent, Mr. Cullum asked me to give this final cost report. We knew that there would be some owner-provided work. They will not just come out and do a turnkey. We had to bring electricity to the top of the arena and connect with Conway Corps to get some extra power out at the stadium. There were a couple of change orders that needed to be taken care of. Typically, Mr. Harrell would take care of these out of his budget. They're typically not very big purchases. We need to stay on time, so we went ahead and did those change orders to make sure that we met the timelines and have a scoreboard out there for football season and for volleyball season. So there were some of these items snuck up on us. We did have to pay for bid and performance bonds. That's required for anything over $35,000. So we had to get those. It was $3,641. We had to rework the ad panels in the arena because we were going to just put them over what we had. It didn't fit, so we had to rework those ad panels, and then electrical service at the stadium, service at the arena, and those were about $17,000 each. We had soil sample at the stadium. They wanted to make sure that the ground would hold up, underneath the scoreboard. And one that was really frustrating was their scissor lift to go into the arena would not make the corner and get in there. So we had to rent scaffolding, and they had to climb and pull that up, and that was about $14,000. So in the end, with all these costs included, a little sticker shock, a little more than what we had asked for, but it was $1,007,700. I think the original PO was for $932,000. The good news is Coach Ashcraft and Coach Hughes and our partners come together to raise $1.35 million. So we're still $342,000 in the good on this project. So that's going to be able to not only help maintain the boards, but supplement the athletic department also, because they only work off of ticket sales, and they have to pay officials and those things, security and whatnot. We've already received about 35 to 40% of those funds. One partner wrote one check, and then the others have paid in. So of that, near $1 million, 40% of it's already been paid into us. And we're still holding with that promise. This won't be a problem to complete that project. We say 8 years, but it'll probably be quicker than that the district will be refunded for that. The kids in Miss Langford have taken over. Coach Ashcraft and I thought we were pretty cool up there during the scrimmage games, making it say touchdown or nice spike or whatever. And the kids come in there and said, "Get out of our way. Let us show you how to do it." And they've gone away from some of the stock graphics. They've already created their own graphics. They set up ads to run continuously on that one side. They have video and replay coming in, and they'll soon add other cameras, get some sideline shots, and the student cam and the band cam and all that they'll be able to just push buttons and pull it up there. So I'm going to let. I went to University of Arkansas game Saturday, and I found myself, which I'm a traditionalist, I believe in grass and no scoreboards. No boards like that. But I found myself watching it the whole day. Say, "Oh, our kids could do that. Our kids could do that," and they will get there. I'm going to let Coach Ashcraft finish and talk a little bit more about the students and what he's doing with the money.
Good evening, Board. I think you all know, if you've been to any of the games, we've got our 12 sponsors that we've partnered with for this project. Like Jason said, those 12 sponsors, we offered them 6 and 8 year contracts, and some of them just have gone ahead and paid their whole 6 or 8 year contract up front. The way that we have set this up so that the board gets paid back in a quick manner, as well as the athletic department benefits, each time we receive a check from one of our partners, 90% goes back into the building fund, which is where the board was paid for or paid from, and then 10% will go into the athletic department. And we're using that for cameras, computers, things tied to this board, as well as if there's money left over at the end just for general athletic expenses that we incur throughout the year, and trying to build up our budget in the athletic department. Actually, we've had some more money come in. As of today, we've already received $434,000 of this project, so it's 43% paid for today. And our goal is to have it all paid back in 8 years, but I think we're going to be ahead of schedule. So just wanted to share that. And then our six-legged production class, that's what they've deemed themselves. We've used some of this money. We bought them all polos so that they can wear them out there on Friday nights. They're in the arena right now. We're playing Northside and volleyball, so they're in there working. Miss Langford stepped in. We lost our teacher that was going to teach this class the week before school started. And Mr. Bing was able to bring Miss Langford to the table. We talked to her. She was excited about it. And the class is already growing. They're doing a phenomenal job. And the class is just going to continue to get better. So just want to give you the update on how the money was working as far as the expense side, and then let you know how well the class is going this fast, 3 weeks into school. Any questions?
Board, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Ashcraft. Coach, I guess you need a motion. I guess we need a motion, board, we need a motion to approve the purchase orders for the scoreboard projects.
So move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we have Ms. Robin King, our Chief Financial Officer.
Hello again. This is a big night. We're approving our operating budget. You should find at your seat, there should be a packet of detailed information on the budget. We're actually going to have two motions based on this one document. But first, I'm going to be presenting the 2022-23 operating budget. I'm going to present a balanced budget for the 22-23 year. If you look at the yellow section of this document, I'm going to highlight going from the top down to the bottom. But you can see that we started with a fund balance of $6 million, and historically this district ends a year with $6 million, so that's our beginning balance. Our revenue budget is composed of local revenue, state revenue, and also some other local revenue, which could be somewhat of federal revenue. Our local revenue is a total of $52,713,000. That represents 73% of our total revenue, 53% of our total revenue budget. We did see over a 7% increase in our assessment due to reassessment in the county. And we did base our budget on a collection of between 97 and 98% collection rate on our tax revenue. Our state revenue is a total of $46,854,000. This represents 47% of our revenue budget. We did see a decrease in our foundation funding due to the loss of enrollment last year, and that's based on our third quarter ADM from the previous year. However, as Mr. Collum did report, we are experiencing current year growth, so we can factor in most likely growth funding for this current year. With those components of our revenue budget, our total revenue budget is $99,624,445. Now moving to the expenditure side, I do want to go back and say on our revenue side, this budget is comprised of state revenue, which is not only foundation funding, but it also includes our categorical funding such as ESA, professional development, English language learners, or in alternative learning. We also have pre-K, ABC funding, career ed, all the different types of state funding that we get. So this is all combined within that state revenue. On the expenditure budget, again, we have this broken out in different categories. Salaries and benefit, which is our largest portion of our budget. With any school district, this is the largest expenditure that you have. This represents 78% of our expenditure budget. This, in our salaries and benefits, that includes a 1.25% raise that was infused in our current salary schedules that we're paying out. That this budget also includes a $500 bonus to be paid this year. It includes an increase to our teacher retirement employer contribution to 15%. It was at 14.75% last year, and by state law, it did move up to 15%. It also it includes an increase to health insurance premium that will go into effect January of 2023. Currently, we pay $199, over $100, right at $200 per month that we contribute on behalf of our employees, and then we will be moving that to $330. The minimum will be $300 that's required by state starting in January, and we pay approximately $30 more over currently. And so we're going to make sure everyone is whole and keep that $30 above the required minimum. The next section of our budget is purchase services, supplies, and materials and capital outlay. That comprises 13% of our expenditure budget. Our debt service, this is approximately 9% of our expenditure budget. When you compare our payment increased $2.2 million compared to last year. And the reason for that is we had a bond refund savings, and we realized most of our savings up front. And so we realized those savings and moved those into the building fund last year. So our total expenditure budget is $99,624,445. Again, this is a balanced budget with our expenditures and our revenues equaling the same thing. And then projecting our ending fund balance again to be $6 million. So that is the budget as presented. Do you have any questions regarding the budget?
Board, any questions? So board, need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 operating budget as presented.
So move.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item I want to present is the annual financial report for the 21-22 school year. We also have to have this approved as we submit this in our cycle report to the state. And so if you look at column B on the document that's on the overhead and also there at your seat, do want to point out a couple of same things as I pointed out with the budget. We did begin the year with a $6 million legal fund balance. We had total revenue of $98,726,000. 51% of that was local tax revenue and 49% of that was state revenue. Our total expenditures, again, were the same, $98,726,000, which included a transfer to the building fund of a total of $5,308,878. That allowed us, after that transfer, we had a building fund balance of $12,596,000. And then with the revenue and expenditures, we did end the year with a $6 million fund balance. So any questions on the 21-22 annual financial report?
No questions.
Is the million, is that with the 6 million counted, or the 6 million is added onto that?
No, the $6 million is our operating budget, and then the $12.5 million is a totally separate building fund budget. So we have a fund balance in our operating of $6 million, and then we have $12.5 million in our building fund. So two separate funds.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So board, I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 annual financial report.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. All right, board, let's see. We've got several resignations and quite a number of elections. We've all had a chance to look at those. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the personnel recommendations as presented.
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's have it. At this time, the board will take a brief recess and go into a for executive session for a closed hearing for the purpose of taking care of a personnel matter. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would like to call our school board meeting back into session. I do want to say that I recused myself from the decision because I know this family very, very well, so I recused myself. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
You'll go ahead and sit down there since you're refused. We'll just have you please remove yourself and we'll handle the rest. So back in session for a decision on the superintendent's recommendation of termination. Do we have a motion?
We do.
Okay, what is the motion?
I move that the school board for the Conway School District accept the superintendent's recommendation that the employment contract of Miss Rita Mason be terminated.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Is there any further business on the agenda?
We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Non-debatable motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Take just a second, though, and I would like to thank Miss Wilson for your service to our district. Thank you.